Many people say that I'm kind of a black pilling kind of guy, and for that I apologize, sincerely. And I should probably take a look at the bright side more often because it does seem like Gen Z is shifting to the right. They've been promised garbage. They've been handed a country that is in shambles. And it's not our fault. It's the fault of bad political actors. I actually don't even blame an entire generation. A lot of people want to blame boomers and say, if the boomers did their job properly, this wouldn't be happening. But I don't even blame the boomers as a generation. It is a political faction. It was not conservative, moral traditionists of this country, of any generation, who sold us out. It was the individual that sought a hedonistic lifestyle and said, do whatever you want, just leave me alone. And this resulted in a society that said, I will get for me and I will give to no one. It used to be that you'd ask not what you could do for your country. It used to be that not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. It used to be that people would plant trees whose shade they knew they would never sit beneath. Instead, younger millennials and Gen Z have been told there are no homes for you. There are no jobs for you. We have opened our borders and given it to everybody else. You will be left wanting. And that is unacceptable. But the good news there is that in this poll from the post-millennials got from Yale, Americans ages 18 to 21 are overwhelmingly pro-GOP. This is the party of respecting your freedom, respecting your ideas, but making sure we work together to build a country that sustains itself and gives the American dream to the next generation. I can't imagine being Gen Z, trying to date in this environment where technology and bad policy have taken away your ability to find a family, and because of policy, you can't even afford to pay for your family. The post-millennial. Young voters aged 18 to 21 are leaning more heavily toward the Republican Party than their slightly older peers, according to a new Yale Youth poll released this week. The survey conducted between April 1st and 3rd among 4,100 registered voters, which is a huge, huge cohort, found that voters aged 18 to 21 favor Republicans by a margin of 11.7 points. When asked who they would support in 2026 in congressional elections, in contrast, voters 22 to 29 favored Democrats by 6.4, revealing a significant split among the youngest generation of voters. I'm going to give credit to Charlie Kirk here. Charlie Kirk's been doing a tremendous job going to universities and building up TPUSA, creating an environment where young people can speak their minds and express their concerns over what's going on. I will say this, 22 to 29 favoring Democrats, but that number is easily overcome by the overwhelming margin of 18 to 21-year-olds. And there's reasons for this. I've often talked about how in the 2000s, they were tracking birth rates and found that conservatives were having about 1.8 kids and liberals were having about 1.4. Now, what does that really mean? I mean, some people have 2 and some people have 1, but slightly more 2 than 1. Still, the population was below replacement. But with conservatives outpacing liberals in terms of reproduction, this means that these children are going to grow up and largely be more conservative leaning. People on the right have argued the problem there is that schools indoctrinate young people. Yes, but the indoctrination of schools is not nearly as powerful as the indoctrination of parents. Parents have access to their kids for a much longer period of time than these schools do. So it's true that schools are manipulating kids and frying their brains. But you as a parent are infinitely more powerful, and conservative parents are infinitely more concerned. If the drag is around 0.2, like 0.2 people are going to be shifted, that means we get a 1-for-1 ratio. But I don't believe that it is. With conservatives fighting back against schools and this poll coming out, I think it's showing us exactly what we hoped to see. The younger generation is paying attention. They're asking questions about what their future is going to be. They're wondering why they don't have money, why they don't have a house, why they don't have a family. And they're looking at an older millennial generation, and they're looking at boomers and Gen X and saying, what have you done? What do we find? Boomers lean slightly to the right, conservative on a certain array of issues. But the media has been lying. And so there has been an extraction of this system. And today, it is older generations that lean to the left that have sacrificed this country. But I think what these young people see, despite the fact that they may be supporting the GOP, they're recognizing that the Republicans stood by and did nothing until Donald Trump. And now Trump is doing something different. If you are young and you want a family and a white picket fence in your own house, you can't vote Democrat. They're giving your money to war. They're giving your money to illegal immigrants. They're trying to put Trump in prison. Now we've got bigger concerns as to how the country will be shaped as the new generation enters the voting pool. Every year, new people enter and exit the voter base of this country. RFK Jr. came out recently talking about high rates of autism. And while I think it is true that there is diagnosable actual autism among children on the rise, I do think there may be an illusion happening. This was brought up by one of the Timcast IRL members on our Discord last night for IRL. They asked if tablets could be creating autism. Yes, I think so. But hold on. I am not saying that by using a tablet, your brain breaks and then you become autistic. Forgive me if brain breaks was the wrong way to phrase it. But I'm not saying that the tablet does something to you that causes an interaction. What I think is that there's a certain number of people whose parents handed them phones or tablets to distract them. And this meant where a child normally was getting interaction from a parent to develop neural pathways and understand social interactions, what is or is not acceptable, instead they were put in front of a tablet which hypnotizes them. Think about it. From 0 to 5, babies' brains are developing. And a baby cries, and the parent says, "What do you want? Are you hungry? Do you got to change your diaper?" And they try and figure it out. In this moment, they are constantly asking the baby, "What's going on? Why are you crying? I can't figure it out." Maybe mom is asking dad. Dad is asking mom. Dad says, "Did you give her bottle? Has she eaten yet?" The baby then is developing neural pathways, synchronizing with the world around them. Maybe the baby just wanted attention. I'm a new father. I got a kid. Sometimes the baby cries because baby wants to be held and talked to and have interaction. But the parents give the tablet to the baby. The baby then stares at a screen of garbled nonsense auto-playing videos. This is going to have a profound effect on what happens to the next generation. And it may be why we are seeing rates of autism go up. That is, it may be false positives, things that resemble autism but aren't actually autism. The reason I bring this up just is to point out what we do today will have profound effects on politics tomorrow. These 18 to 21-year-olds that are being born, that are voting now and that are overwhelmingly conservative, these are people who were born in the 2000s when conservatives were having substantially more children than liberals. So when they say 11% more are conservative, it's likely because of what we did then with our children. That is, conservative had kids, taught their kids, gave those children their values. Liberals did not. And that's why the 22 to 29 cohort is leaning Democrat, because that's slightly pre-2000 when the birth rates were somewhat different. I guess all that really matters right now is if y'all keep having kids, if you teach your kids your values, if you homeschool your kids and you protect them from deranged leftist ideologies, in 20 years, this will be a conservative Christian country. You don't need the arguments. The arguments are not for me. It's not for 40-year-olds. I don't need to argue to a 40-year-old. You need to argue to an 18-year-old. You need to produce cultural content for 15-year-olds. This is what we believe in here. This is what we've been working on as much as we can. That is, we're doing skateboarding. We're making music. We know that we have to create culture that resonates with young people. So ask yourself, if you're talking politics, who's listening? I had dinner several years ago with my cousin and her family. And they were like, you're doing all this news stuff. It's great. And they mentioned that their oldest daughter didn't care about news. And I think she was like 13. And she was like, "I do not care at all." And I was like, "Of course you don't. And you shouldn't. You're 13. But what does that really mean?" I said, "Actually, you don't care about news, but let me tell you something. You actually do care about news." I said, "What is the most important thing to you in your life right now?" At 13 years old? So I didn't literally say this, but I brought it up rhetorically. It's your friends. It's school. I said this. "Do you talk about what your friends are doing? Do you gossip?" "Yeah, of course. That's news." I was like, "Is there someone in your class that you don't like?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I said, "Imagine she was made class president and got to make the rules for you. Would you be upset?" And she was like, "Yes." And I'm like, "You'd probably talk to your friends about how pissed off you are about it." She's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "That's news." See, the reason you don't care about President Trump is because he does not make rules for your life on a day-to-day basis. But for your parents, he does. So news to a young person is their immediate world. But as you get older, your world expands. And eventually, you're getting a paycheck. Too much is taken out in taxes. You look to the president and say, what have you done wrong? Everyone cares about news. The important thing to understand is how can you communicate that to young people so when they grow up, they hold those values. I'm going to wrap it up there. Stay tuned. We got more segments coming up. Thanks for hanging out. Follow me next on Instagram at Timcast, and we'll see you all then.